Welcome back to the channel, folks, and we're heading toward the end of my collector evolution for Megatron, and I'm using him to kind of show how my tastes have changed over time. And if you saw part 1, you saw I started out with not a great one. I did a custom in part 2, I did a custom in part 3, and this is where we ended off, with a scale that looks like this using the Transformers Age of Extinction Voyager Class Evasion Mode Optimus Prime, customized, and the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Megatron. Obviously, he's been customized from the Sharkticon Voyager version. And I said, my evolution didn't end there. A game changer. A game changer was just about to enter the field. So I'm going to move him out of it, and I'm going to move him out of it, and make way for the game changer. And who and what is the game changer, you ask? This. This is Toyworld Hegemon. And he was my next evolution. My apex of evolution, if you will. And we're going to look at him now, and I'm going to try and do something for you today, here on camera, that I have yet to really see. Let's see how it works out. I'm going to try and change this guy, the way he comes in package, from robot to his pistol mode in one take. And if you know this guy, you know that that's a daunting challenge right there. Stick around, and we're going to take a look at, really, a piece of art of a Megatron, or a not Megatron if you will, in the latest GotBot True Review. Okay, folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot, and by all means, check me out everywhere. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, I've been talking about my tastes as a collector and how they evolved, and how I thought that, you know, it was good enough to have a modern day representation using a fast action battler Megatron. That evolved to become the Generations Deluxe version, and that evolved because I wanted something bigger into what you just saw, and that evolved. That evolved because I kept looking, and I'm not in the Masterpiece line, and there are some, you know, great third-party offerings there. Of course, there's the official Masterpiece version. All of them absolutely amazing in their own ways, and frustrating in their own ways. Well, as a chug collector, I wanted this, because every time I searched, I would always come across images of this guy, and I always just drooled over him. So finally I said, you know what, my tastes are at a point where I know the version I want, and I went and I got him. Here is the box. You can see that there's some nice artwork down here. The title, nice artwork again on the side. This is the 01B version, which means he doesn't come with the stock and the silencer on the front. That really didn't bother me, but he looks really great, but he still wasn't perfect. So I'll show you what I did to pretty much make this guy perfect in just a couple of seconds. Getting that out of it, the first thing that I want to point out is that he comes with an extra head. So if your version of of this guy has his, see if this focuses. If your version of the, there we go. If your version of this guy has the black helmet, you're covered. You see that the light piping is yellow here, I do believe. Yeah, it's yellow here. But there's only a screw in the back. You can easily remove it and put the red in there if you want to use this head. So that's one option. And the only other accessory he comes with, I'll show now in just a second. It is his Energon mace, but I just want to make sure that I can actually get this apart first. Okay, so I was able to get it apart. Now, I'm going to show this to you the way it comes in package, which is like this. And it looks good. I like the actual translucent purple use here because it matches what it is. A lot of people didn't like that it was just on this little stand, but it does extend out. Now everybody is always really excited because it has an actual chain. And they say that's tough. As soon as I opened mine, I ended up breaking the chain and I had to put it back together, but it does look really cool. So how does this go on Hegemon? Well, we're going to deal with that in just a second. Here he is in all of his glory, folks, right there. And I don't care what anybody says, this is, without a shadow of a doubt, a great representation of this character. Now he did come with the little orange cap up here. And on Christmas Day, I worked very hard to get that out and it did not work. So on Christmas Day I took, well actually, somebody else took a hacksaw and cut off that orange cap for me, and I painted around the muzzle with black and silver. I think it's fine. It worked out fine. It's too bad that I couldn't get it out, but it worked out fine. That's not all that I did with this guy though. You see a Decepticon symbol on his chest. That's just glued on there. It would be lovely to have an actual repro label to go on there, but this works out okay as well. I did add, you see on his abdomen, you see the little bit of red and yellow and blue. I added that as custom paint apps for this guy because I felt like he deserved them. I felt like he really deserved them because he should have them. I also added a little bit of red over on this side of his abdomen and a little bit over here because he does have the red on those sides. I like this version better than the initial release. Even though the initial release had, I think, black in here where this red is on his chest. And a lot of people like the black out front. But truth is, it really should be more like this color to be accurate. The hardest part was doing his head, trying to put the black in for his brow and those little, I'll call them triangle sections under his helmet. It's very super hard. It was done with a toothpick. I'm going to try and show it now. It might not be perfect when you get up close to it. If it focuses. It might not be perfect. I'm not even sure you can see it. Let's just... Let's see if this will work. But I think that adding the black there makes it so much more accurate. So overall, I think he is a fantastic representation. His paint apps, I'm giving it a 10. I think he's perfect. I really do think he's perfect. His posability, playability, this is a collector piece. I would not give this to kids because it is A, expensive, B, challenging, but as a collector you can do fantastic things with him. The head is able to go left and right and look up and down, way down actually. The arms can go out because of little flaps right here. The arms can actually go out nice ways and go around 360. There is a swivel. The wrist can bend in like that if you wanted to. His cannon can move around, so that's cool. He has a swivel at the, like, I guess at the chest. And I feel like there might be another one at the waist, but it is... it's either it's hindered or you can't do it when he's in robot mode. But still, I mean, he has an upper body twist, which is wonderful. The legs can go way out and they can go back, but now you have these panels back here. You can keep them to the side if you want, but if you move that just up for a minute, you can see that his legs by rights do go all the way back. Nice ratchet in the knee to 90 degrees, and legs, I mean, ratchet out to the side. The legs are all ratcheted out to the side. There is a thigh swivel, and the toes can tilt, and there is a set of ankle tilts for this guy. He actually stands quite securely, and I think that, at least for my tastes, him and him. I love it. I love it. I think that looks fantastic personally. Some people would say, hey, I should have Orion hair. Maybe I should. But I feel like that's a little off from the look I want as well. But this guy is certainly not. So Paydaps, 10. He comes as a 9 as it is. Adding the little bit I did, 10. Posability, playability. Honestly, he has everything that I could want him to have. Even the wrist swivel. 10. A 10 and a 10. As far as his Energon mace goes, there is a little 5mm peg inside. It just goes down over his hand. Assuming I can do it. And put that up. What's that catching on now? I just popped something off. This piece, by the way, does pop off, and you would think that that's annoying, but actually it's not, and it's probably a good thing that it does, and I'll explain all of that later. But I mean, come on, that's fantastic. And I mean, the thing could even spin because it's on a chain. It's great, absolutely great. How do you get it off? Well, you just work it back out of his hand. That's all. You just work it back out of his hand, and I guess if you want to store it, you can always, put the chain back inside, like that. That's the only accessories he comes with. He doesn't come with the sword and the stock and all that stuff. I don't know about you. I personally couldn't care less about it. He's still a 10. Now, transformation for this guy, challenging, and every time I see a review of him, he is always done as, his pistol back to his robot mode. I'm going to do it the way that he comes in package, because honestly the instructions were nothing to get excited about. So you begin by kind of getting them all straightened up, and we're going to do the easy stuff with this guy first. You pull back his head, you open out his chest piece, and you can put his head inside, and there's the center of the gun, you could say, done. The center of his pistol is done. Next, you want to put in the fist and put in this fist. Collapse the arm and collapse the arm. This one here is pegged inside the shoulder joint, and it's really strange. You kind of twist it and unpeg it to get it out like this, and then you just rotate it down until it's in position. And I mean, you can tell where it's supposed to line up. No problem to tell where that's supposed to line up. For now, take this arm and just bring it up straight and leave it. We're going to deal with his lower body first and get that out of the way. You fold in the toes, and you fold in the toes, and you take the whole foot and you pivot it up into the back of the leg. The back of the leg does have translucent plastic. A lot of people don't like that. I think it's okay, actually, and I'm not a fan of translucent plastic. You turn the two legs so that they are, I guess the front shin is, facing opposite each other. Right? The backs of the legs are facing each other now. And you bring these together, and they will click together with a series of, tabs and whatnot. It's coming together. You can see how this guy's going to go, right? You can see where this guy's going to go. Next, you collapse the legs up as high as you can, and you get something that looks pretty much like this. Next, you unhinge the entire body. You're going to have to do that because you need to get this arm to swivel over and connect to this arm. It will take up this position right here. And trust me, folks, That is not easy. I have been excited to do this guy and nervous to do this guy because of that one piece of transformation. So we'll take his trigger and we will bring it down. And we turn the whole thing around. The whole upper body is now turned around. And if you look up under here, you'll see there's an armature over here. And that armature needs to swing down around. But the ability to swing it around is tight. And I mean really tight. I find that it helps if I move the center mass like this way. I just find it gives me a little bit more room to swing. How do you do this now? Well, you unattach the arm from its, I guess, socket in here. And you need to turn the arm so that it's facing like this orientation that I have it here with the scope kind of on the back. It's the only chance you have of getting this down. You need to begin to bring it down. And you're going to notice that the body is still kind of turned because you're looking to get it past these legs. Bring the legs up, bring the arm down. And when you do that, you should be able to start, there you go. You should be able to start turning this center mass back. There's a lot of movement to do here at once. But you have to get the arm in the right position, then just swing it enough to get the legs out past, then continue swinging it back. And if you continue swinging it back and push that center mass back again, you should be able to bring it all the way up, and again a series of tabs will tab it all together up here. Now that you have that much done, and we didn't even pop this piece off, now that you have that much done, you can take this piece and bring it around. If it pops off, it's just on a little ball peg and it goes back in no problem. Bring this down and hopefully I can pick this in. Take it in. His cannon, of course, is going to become the scope. You bring that up over. You turn it around, and when you bring it down, there are two little tabs way up right here. Two little tabs. See if this wants to focus. Two little tabs up here. That's what this tabs onto. And usually that's one of the easiest parts of transformation, and of course where I can't readily look at it too closely, it didn't want to work. But there you go. That goes in just like that. Now you want to get the handle back here, and you want to get the trigger and stuff all set up, no problem. Now you might say, how does this need to be? Because you're after turning the top around. Where his Decepticon symbol should be, and his lower abdomen, should be facing in the same direction. You bring out that piece from the back, and getting the legs out of the way, you swing out the other piece with the trigger from the back. And you can see that this is not lined up. So guess what we're going to do? Push it back until it does line up. Like that. Now when you bring up the, I guess the legs we'll call it, they should peg in here, but we have to set ourselves up to be able to do this well. You'll notice that we got these two little sets of panels here. This one's going to stay just as it is. This one, however, needs to move, and it does like to pop off. So we bring it out to the side, and then there's a little black section on the side of his hip. You need to bend that all the way around. Bend it all the way around. Once you have that done, you can open this piece out if it hasn't already fallen open on you. Bring this piece down. And over here you want to do the same thing. You want to open up that piece and then open up this. You're going to start to bring it around. This is where things start to get a bit more challenging. There is a peg, a black peg right here that goes into a black slot right here. It does not like to go in perfectly, but that's what guides you the best. And I just popped that off the ball joint, but you'll see how easy it is to pop the ball joint back in. Or maybe you'll see how easy it is to pop the ball joint back in. There you go. I have the ball joint popped back in. So we bring this in. You want to make sure, or try to make sure, that this is as straight as it can be. You bring that in, and then this piece folds around the back. On this side, you want to do the same thing. You bring it in, you squeeze it in, and you bring that piece around the back. And now the entire handle goes up into the pistol. Challenging again. You have two little starts right here that need to go into, I guess technically what's this hip section here. It is your main guiding point. And also one of the most challenging parts of this transformation. And you'll notice I have them off because honestly I find that I need to be able to see this very closely in order to do it. That hip piece also likes to move and swivel on you. Okay, and you'd figure I would do a cut there. And normally I would, but I promised one take. This hip piece right here that you turned around, so this whole flap was over on this side to become part of the gun, is what you got to put those two little tabs in. The problem is when you start to push it down, this likes to begin rotating again. So you kind of got to get in fairly close to do it. But then you put all that around. You make sure that that's as collapsed as it can be. And now you come to the trigger. The trigger comes down around the bottom, like this, flips out, and then flips all the way down. It will tab in the front and on the side. The thing is, it doesn't tab in perfectly, but in the end, hates to tab in actually. But in the end, here is Megatron in his blaster, you know, pistol form. And I just popped off that ball joint again. So let me fix that. Because apparently it doesn't want to cooperate with me today at all. I'm just taking a second here now to sort of try and squeeze everything together here. And in the end, yeah, here he is. You can see that the trigger is not straight. It's supposed to kind of tab in over right here, and there's a little hole down right here on the handle that it tabs into. You're not going to get it straight. You could stay there for hours, and I don't believe for a second that you're going to get it straight. Here's how he looks on this side, and here's how he looks on this side. I assume that this is a safety. If you look through the scope, and I don't know if you can see through the scope or not, you can see red all the way out through. It doesn't magnify anything or anything like that, but it's still kind of cool to have the sight there. This clicks, but of course, as happy as I am to have this representation, and by the way, transformation, if you like complicated transformations, it's a 10. If you don't, it's a 1, because he's tricky and a bit nerve-wracking. For me, personally, he's about a 6. I wish that he was easier, but I understand why he's not. And I don't tend to transform him a whole lot. Overall though, this guy, you know, despite that this guy is like a 9.5 for being a representation of who he's supposed to be. I think this looks great. This is my final evolution, but there's still one thing about him that's not perfect. I will bring in my custom Ball of Cybertron Starscream, who I reviewed a little while ago. Just because I'm really proud of him as a custom. Here's my question to you, ladies and gentlemen. Does this work? Does this scale work? Can he hold him? No! That scale does not work. He cannot hold him. It just can't do it. So, That being the case, and being the now discerning, or maybe just picky collector that I have become, while I think this guy fits nicely in the hand, while I think that he looks fantastic, and while I think that in robot mode he looks absolutely amazing, I still had one imperfection to deal with. What would I do with this guy to get a good pistol representation? Well, that's going to be the final part of this little series. Stick around, if you will, and we're going to take a look at honestly, my final evolution and a couple of closing thoughts about this guy. But that is how you do the transformation. In one take, from robot to pistol. Okay, it might have not been absolutely perfect, but you know what, that's how it's done. I hope that it really helps you out. What else can I say? This guy's fantastic. I absolutely love him, and I think that he stands head and shoulders over the other representations that I have. But you know what? He's also challenging. He's a collector piece, and he does, cost a nice bit. But that being said, I still think that he is pretty much ideal. Anyway, that's enough rambling from me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this little evolution and seeing how my tastes have changed over the years. I really appreciate you giving me some of your time, and I really look forward to the next time that you and I get together right here for another visit inside the videos.